Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is entitled At Your Door. It was written by Ellen Eisenwill, Mark Morrison, Barbara Manui, Chris Adams, Scott D. Aniolowski, and Herbert Hike. Our recap will be given by Morgan Llewellyn, and this is episode 5. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Morgan?
Status report for August 3rd, prepared by Margaret Evans. On the night of August 2nd, we made contact with a local musician that informed us of the frequent venue of God's Lost Children, which was the band associated with the individuals who harassed us when we first got to San Damiel. On the morning of the 3rd, we left for Delilah to check out Peter Tate's farm. In talking with the locals, we learned that the farm's previous owner, Harold Gall, was conducting some sort of experiment on his property before he sold the place. Gall was apparently very unpleasant to associate with. When we got to the farm, we found the aftermath of the car accident that damaged Tate's vehicle. He left the place in quite a hurry. The farm itself was strange. There was moss growing around every source of water within the farmhouse. The wheat fields showed signs of rapid growth. The other fields were planted in a strange spiral shape. We came across a cat that seemed terrified out of its mind. Something got to the chickens in the chicken coop, and the greenhouse appears to be bursting with overgrown plants. More information to come once more progress has been made.
All right. So you're standing right in front of the lab. You're still outside the lab, looking in. Who's in the front and who's in the back?
I believe I was in the front because I was madly hacking at the plants.
Okay.
And I was right behind Margaret. Also, I brought some loppers. Also.
Okay, so Heather and Margaret,
I think I was close.
Do a spot hidden roll.
That 28 is going to be a hard success.
Nope.
Okay. Well, Heather, you were apparently frightened at least a little bit by the plants, and you jumped back. Margaret, what you can see is that it's a lab. It hasn't been used in a long time. There are pallets of plants and things that were at one point all over the counter, up on shelves, and so forth, that have all completely overgrown their containers. Their roots go literally across the table down to the ground and have buried themselves in cracks in the cement. These cracks have been enlarged and pushed aside as the plants are growing out of them. The growth in here is amazing. And you also don't immediately recognize what kind of plants these are.
Is there any sort of watering system in here?
No. However, the temperature is extremely hot when that door opens, just from the fact that there's a greenhouse and it's already hot outside. And there is humidity. There's a lot of humidity.
There appears to be some sort of lab equipment back here. I'm going to start...
You don't see much equipment.
Oh, just the pallets of the...
It looks like there's places where there was equipment, but the equipment's been removed. There's stuff all over the floor. There's garbage. It was obviously abandoned at some point and just left to its own devices, and it's completely overgrown. You can also see there is a door inside the lab leading into the greenhouse from the side, which is wide open, and the plants in the greenhouse are also just jam-packed in there. This room itself will be difficult to get into without, chopping.
Right, but is there like an opening in like the middle where there aren't plants?
No, there are plants everywhere.
Plants. Okay.
There's spaces in there where there's not much plants, but the plants have aggressively grown, even in the shady areas of this room.
How does it smell?
I don't know, kind of, what green plants would smell like.
greenhousing.
Actually, perhaps there's some odd fragrances that you don't recognize. There's definitely flowers blooming in there as well, here and there.
Fruits?
I'm sorry?
Are there fruits?
You don't see any fruit, no.
Is there only one door?
Only
Can
one
you-
door going. Only one door going into the lab. Yes,
And then one more going into the greenhouse from the lab.
correct. And then one more in the greenhouse itself.
From the outside, but I don't think we're going to get through that, judging by this door. They go through the plants. Did anybody bring a machete with them?
No, we looked. We looked around and didn't find one, unfortunately.
Well, I don't think we're going to have much luck trying to get through here.
Well, you do have the loppers.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's-
So I'll start lopping at this if people want to kind of go around the side and look into the fields, the kind of the spirally fields that are nearby. This might take a while to get through this.
If it's a lab, I'm going to assume that there's some sort of ventilation system. Are the plants poking out of that as well?
There are vents over to the side. Yeah, there's a little bit of growth going out of the vents.
Well, when Margaret cuts some bit off of this, I want to have a look at it and see what shape its stem is, what the pattern of the leaves are, look at the flower, because it's unfamiliar.
All right, Dr. Desmond. Dr. Desmond and Dr. Margaret, do your botany rolls if you've got them.
Be careful not to touch anything irritating.
I've got pretty good botany if you want.
Go ahead.
I
Yeah.
didn't pass any sort of natural world or botany check, so
Okay.
they're plants.
33, so that's good.
Yeah.
Not quite a hard.
I got a hard on botany.
You got a hard on botany.
That's right.
I was trying to ignore that.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Hey, you're
Grow up, Tom. Grow up. You're puzzled because in your experience as botanists, there's things wrong here. There's definitely been some sort of crossbreeding, but in order to produce the effects that you're seeing in some of these plants, there would be crossbreeding of species, which shouldn't be possible. Possibly even intergeneric species genre that have been crossed. Maybe theoretically you might be able to do something like that if you had some advanced means, but you've never heard of anything like this. Some of these plants are bizarre. They show traits of a dozen different kinds of plants. So I need you to all do sanity.
No.
No.
Everyone or just the people?
It's just the botanists.
Oh.
The ones that recognize that there's something wrong with the plants.
I wasted an 11.
If you fail, take 1 point of damage and roll a listen roll. Those of you who fail.
God. Nope.
That I made.
I
22.
did not.
Okay. So you didn't fail. You didn't pass your listen rolls either.
I did.
Oh, you did.
I did.
Dr. Flores, you're not sure at first, but there's a sound that seems to be accompanying Dr. Margaret clipping the vines. And the more she clips at them, the more it affects you like the sound of little screams in your head. And you can do another sanity roll. You think that you're hearing the plants screaming.
48 is a success.
Okay. Well, take one.
But still jarring.
Yeah.
And to be clear, there isn't one kind of plant in the lab. There's a number of different kinds of these hybridized.
There's jars. There's also jars with seeds. There's obviously there were experiments going on in hybridization that. So you'll find everything. You'll find seed pods. You'll find. Also, you start to notice that some of the flowers. Let's say the other two, Jason, your name is still Jason. Dr. Ethan and Dr. Jonathan, you start to notice that some of the flowers that are growing in the greenhouse are very, very bizarre, incredibly beautiful, iridescent. But if you were to try to name the color, you'd have a little bit of difficulty. It's definitely blue, but it's not a blue that you've ever seen in nature. And you can do sanity rolls too, because there's something very, very strange going on here.
You get a sanity roll. You get a
98.
Oh.
Just take a point of damage if you fail.
I'm a little concerned that there might be psychoactive compounds in some of these strange things. We should all make sure that we spend time in the open air. The concentrically planted fields are all species we recognized.
Yes.
Right? That was just eggplants and tomatoes and stuff.
Right.
So the weird stuff was in the lab. Yeah, whatever this gall maniac was working on, and I just sort of put my hands over my ears and step outside of the lab for a minute to breathe some fresh air and not hear the little tiny voices.
Meanwhile, Dr. Margaret is still flipping.
I'll make some jazz to myself.
Dr. Margaret, do a spot hidden, and Dr. Ethan, you were going to say something.
To get into that office, is there also glass windows? Can we just walk around the outside and tap out one of the windows and look in?
Well, very likely it's just going to, more plants are just going to bust out.
I passed my spot hidden.
I'm just thinking instead of having to cut your way all the way through, just maybe cut what's in front of that window then.
All right. What's wrong with this? I'm just cutting through the door here. I passed.
I was just afraid of releasing more toxins, that's all.
Toxins?
Building off of that idea, let me run back to the house and see if I can tear up some sheets to make some rudimentary face masks.
Okay.
Or just get some of that tasty, tasty moss,
Okay.
Let's avoid sticking.
Dr. Jonathan is running back to the house. Dr. Margaret, you notice as you're clipping that there is what looks like an old leather journal lying on the floor, maybe a foot and a half from you, completely wrapped up and overgrown with plants around it.
All right.
It's obviously been damaged. You can see that it's damaged.
It's nice knowing everybody. I want to reach for it.
Okay, when you can grab a hold of it, however, you can't dislodge it. You'll have to cut it free.
Yep, that's what I'll do.
All right, so you're working on that.
They're everywhere.
Well, while she's doing that, I'm gonna go look into through the glass of the greenhouse, and is it the same species of plants? It looks like.
Yeah. Now, you almost have to find a place where you can see between the leaves because they're pressed up against the glass. However, you can see that it's a jungle in there. It's overgrown with vines, and you do notice a large, sort of thick-stemmed. It almost looks like a tree growing in there that has purple flowers all over it that also have that iridescent quality. But there's dozens and dozens of species. There's things that you think you'd recognize as orchids, because orchids have very distinct growing patterns, except that these are completely bizarrely overgrown, and they have long white root tendrils that sort of reach out from them. They're not moving, but they've attached themselves to everything that they can, making a kind of a thick white spider web.
Right. Yeah. I'm a little interested in the tree after that weird creature. I'm gonna kind of you know, is it in the center? Or is it closer to the wall or the door?
It's close to the one of the side walls.
Okay. All right.
It doesn't look like it's in its place. It looks like maybe, as the other things, it might have been in a pot that either fell off or was sitting on the ground, and now it's completely overgrown the pot. You can even see bits and pieces of maybe the pot that it was once in, the terracotta pot that have been shattered on the ground.
Right.
As it's grown.
Okay.
Dr. Jonathan, you run back to the house, and I'd like you to do a POW roll.
Ooh. What is my POW? That's going to be a fail.
Okay. So as you're about halfway between the greenhouse. You come around the side of the barn. You're heading towards the house, and you get the distinct feeling that something is watching you. That's probably all in your mind.
I look over my shoulder to see if any of my companions are looking at over in this direction.
They're all looking into the greenhouse and the lab. You're looking around. You don't see anybody. Nothing's changed. No cars have pulled up or anything like that. You can see the fields of wheat on the one side, and you just have this creepy feeling. And it's definitely coming from out there. It's not coming from the house. It's not coming from the barn.
Weird.
So
I'm gonna hustle inside.
You run into the house, and where are you going to go?
So I'm gonna check the bed and see if there's some clean sheets or something.
Okay. You run up the stairs to the bedroom, and you pull back the cover, and you notice that there is green moss growing on the bed sheet.
Okay.
It's not everywhere on the bed sheet, but it's definitely towards the middle of it.
You know, when I talked about that tasty moss, you know, that was a joke there, Jonathan.
Shh, you don't know this yet. Is it in like an outline or just
not particularly?
Blotch?
Yeah, not particularly. It just looks.
Well, then I will eschew the sheets on the bed and look for other cloth.
Do a luck roll.
Better than my power score. So. And that's a 98.
Okay. You don't find any sheets or anything like that.
There's no fabric in this house.
All right. So you're in the house at the moment. Dr. Margaret.
I'm chopping at the plants that there's nothing wrong with these plants.
You can feel that the leather of the outside of the journal is rotted as you're holding on to it. You're trying to sort of stabilize it as you're cutting the stuff out. It's been moist. It's been wet. The paper is damaged inside, but ultimately you manage to unhook it, but you can feel that it's delicate. So, and you're kind of on your hands and knees getting it. So what do? You've got it in your hands.
I'm just going to back out. And I think I brought some gloves with me. We brought some. Does anybody have any gloves?
Yeah,
like some rubber gloves or something?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to put on some gloves and I'm going to read it.
Okay. Well, I would like you to do a dex roll.
Oh.
What are the rest of you doing? You guys watching him? Well, I know that Jonathan's inside.
I failed.
I think I watched Heather go over to the other greenhouse because I am out of the lab. So I'm probably walking up toward Heather and peering in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is anybody near Margaret?
I'll be waiting outside the door. I was
Okay.
keeping an eye on her.
So she's coming out with the book, and she sort of begins to stand up, and she goes to open it. And when you open it, it is filled with big, fat, yellow and green caterpillars that are chewing the paper. And because you lost your dex roll, you immediately go, ah, like this, and you let it go. It hits the ground, and caterpillars go everywhere, including on you guys. Well, Jason, Ethan and Margaret.
Quick, collect them. I start pulling out little containers and trying to brush them off or get them into containers.
I try and make sure there's none on me at first, and then I'll worry about collecting them.
Okay. Dr. Ethan and Dr. Margaret do a spot hidden roll.
A 31, that's going to be a hard success.
I failed.
Okay. Dr. Margaret, you look back down at the book, and it's pretty much all completely eaten up, but you think you can make out one little bit.
I had some unexpected results. And as I watched it seemed to coalesce into a kind of clear jelly. It is without a doubt my own creation, the product of my long work. But malevolent. I am very sure it wants to kill me. And then there's some other stuff I can't.
Yeah, you can't read anything
Okay.
else.
He's trying to create life?
I wonder if that said it's also malevolent, possibly.
There's something about it being something's malevolent and wants to kill him. Have I managed to collect any of these caterpillars?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
They seem like just standard, cabbage caterpillars that seem to have found something that they wanted to eat.
Like regular size, right? They're not gigantic, right? Okay.
No, they're not particularly large. Everything's getting eaten in there by something, probably.
Yeah, I'm curious how widespread the caterpillars would be.
Well, you actually don't see any caterpillars except for in that book. You do a spot hidden roll, and then we'll get back to the rest of you.
A 10, that's going to be an extreme success. Hey.
You begin to look around for animal life, insect life, or anything, spiders in the corners. You don't see anything. You don't see an aphid. You don't see a ladybug. You don't see a black widow spider. Nothing.
I wonder if the caterpillars were eating this paper and they weren't eating the plants. I wonder if there's some kind of natural defense mechanism of the plant that's like fending them off. Maybe some kind of toxin.
Quite possible.
I'm kind of thinking out loud to Dr. Carlisle. But...
Doctor.
Oh, sorry.
Go
no, I was going to say that might be the case, but we'd have to do some tests.
Dr. Heather.
Yep.
What you up to? You're looking in the window.
Yeah, I was looking in. I'm assuming with the way you described the greenhouse that the doors are being pushed pretty hard, and I'm worried that if I try and open it, I'm going to get popped in the face when I release the pressure on the lock. So, yeah, I don't want to do that. So when I heard him yell, I'm actually going to go back, yell about the caterpillars scaring when I go back over there because I had enough trouble with the door to the lab.
Okay. I imagine you all reacted when Dr. Margaret yelled.
Yeah.
Dr. Jonathan, you're still in the house. What do you want to do? Are you coming back?
Can I make an idea roll to try and come up with some other form of respiratory?
Sure.
Okay. respiratory protection. And that's an 11.
Okay. Well, there might be dish towels.
Okay. So run down to the kitchen and see if those are moldy.
No, they're not.
All right.
So you guys have dish towels.
So I grab a bunch of tea towels and then head out.
Some of them are white. Some of them are yellow. Some of them have little flowers on them. Some of them have country chickens on them.
I want the chicken one.
Oh no, I got dibs on the chicken.
Okay. Flowers. All right.
As I leave the house, do I get the same feeling that I'm being watched?
Well, yeah, now you're not sure if you're just spooking yourself.
Okay.
Now that the plants are not being actively molested, have the strange little green voices gone away? Or am I still hearing?
Do a listen roll.
Oh, 98. I can't hear a thing.
Well, actually, it works the opposite way.
Uh.
You find that if you approach the doorway and get near the plants, there seems to be some sort of a harmonic sort of sound. Are the plants singing? Are they vibrating? And you're actually able to pick up this. It's not just one note. It's like a chord of music playing.
Does anybody else hear a curious sound from in here?
You can all do listen rolls.
I'm wondering if it's something like, what is the word? Glabrous, I think is the word for like tomato vines that are hairy.
I got a 9 on my listen roll.
And maybe they're rubbing together like cricket's legs. It doesn't seem...
I failed 57.
I failed mine also.
Dr. Margaret, the more you concentrate, the more you think you might hear it too. It almost sounds like there's kind of an illusion. It's not really an illusion, but if you're very quiet and you concentrate, you can actually hear the atoms of air bouncing against your eardrums. It sounds like a low static. Sometimes you get tinnitus where you hear ringing in your ears. This isn't really like either one of those. It's like there's somebody distantly playing a chord of music. It's harmonious, and it's like it's coming from different areas. You're not sure that it's coming from the plants. It could be something in the room. The hum of a motor, or it doesn't sound like a motor.
It doesn't sound like crickets.
Maybe I've been listening to too much jazz, like from that CD. It just sounds like whatever this ambient noise is to be. It kind of sounds like music.
It's quiet and high pitched, right?
Yeah, I'm not so sure it's that high pitched, but it's definitely.
It's just faint, just very quiet off in the distance.
Yeah.
You know, there's the sound when you're in a pine forest and there's a breeze. There's a sound.
Whispering sound.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Is it disturbing?
Not really. It's kind of pretty, but it's disturbing in the fact that why are you hearing it?
Here, I'm gonna tear some pages out of a notebook and put them in with the caterpillar so they have something to eat. I'll pass them off to Dr. Carlisle, and I'm gonna go back into the lab to try to find the source of the sound.
Okay.
You hear gravel crunching oh so subtly as I run up. I've got tea towels. We can cover our faces.
Oh,
got
thanks. And I have that country
caterpillars.
chicken one.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of fond of the chicken myself. Dr. Evans, have you handled the plants?
Yeah. Yeah, I was chopping through to get. I actually found a.
Are your hands itching at all?
No.
No. Oh, but before I forget, now that everybody's here, there was a strange thing in that kind of carcass of a book over there. And I'm pointing to where I had dropped the book, and I'll tell the people who just showed up about the experiment notes.
The text. Yeah.
The text.
I wonder if we should, let's bag that and see if we can dry it out back at the lab and recover any more text.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to be able to check it against both. Well, we presumably have access to Peter's handwriting. We probably don't have access to any of Gall's handwriting. But I'd like to compare that.
Little card. What's that little card? His.
Judging by the state of it, I doubt Peter was writing in that thing.
Yeah, although things seem to be moving really fast around here.
That's true. Hey, I found.
You just
Oops, you muted.
I found moss in the bed upstairs, like a big old splotch in the middle.
Yeah. I wonder if he got some on him, and he's just, like you theorize, he's just touches stuff, and it's doing a transfer. Ugh.
Well, I mean, there could be spores in here that
True.
behave in ways we don't expect, because all of this is pretty uncanny.
Wow.
Judging by his lifestyle, if he was contaminated with something, we'd have a lot more people to worry about.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm wondering if we don't have, a biological incident on our hands here. Like, we shouldn't let spores from this lab or greenhouse into the environment, I should think.
I wonder if they have decontamination showers back at the labs. I'm wondering if we should
I would
even.
think so.
Yeah, but that's a 2-hour drive. I mean,
Yeah.
In fact, I'm thinking maybe we should dump our clothes and hose off here and try and that way we don't carry anything else
I would
back
rather
with
not
us.
get any of our clothes wet if that's going to help the spores grow if they're in our clothes.
I mean, maybe we should
And
just
if there's
go to a Walmart and
water.
completely change.
Yeah.
Dr. Margaret, you are still working your way into the lab.
Yep. Is the humming louder when I by the door?
There's definitely a change in pitch if you cut a vine. And it feels like it's reacting.
That's odd. I haven't made a sanity roll for this yet. Should I?
Yes, please. And then who's standing outside? I guess.
I
we all kind of got together. I'm trying to figure out how to get a kitchen towel around my face.
I failed my sanity check by 1 point. I rolled a 71.
Okay, take another hit point of damage. I'm sorry, another sanity point of damage. Dr. Heather.
Yes.
Do a spot hidden for me. Actually, all of you outside do spot hiddens.
I'm a little busy cutting plants, so.
Nope.
I failed every roll so far.
Missed it by 5.
92.
Ugh.
Maybe I should look over my
I've got
shoulder.
the tea towel over my face.
Dr. Jonathan, you want to use some luck? Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think I'll use it at this juncture.
You missed it by 5. Anybody else get that close?
I missed it by 7.
I missed it by 27.
Oh, that's way too much.
I'm cutting plants, but
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep going.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and look through the place that Margaret's kind of cut in there. Does it look like there's like an interior room, another interior room in this building?
No, it's just one large
It's just one
rectangular room.
Okay.
There was definitely a bench in the center that the person could go around. And once again, there were plants growing all over it.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to follow Dr. Margaret and just start, bagging some specimens of these plants. Everything that looks distinctly different
Okay.
But we're going to have to keep them on lockdown because I don't want to start a massive invasive plant invasion of inland California.
Right. Yeah.
And we might consider, we're going to have to talk about burning this all before too long. A consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
Dr. Margaret and Dr. Desmond. Now, this is going to be an unusual request. I want you to do spot hiddens. And then I'm not going to tell you anything. It's a spot hidden that might come up later on in the game.
I got a 10, which is an extreme success.
Okay.
It's a surprise roll that will help us later.
And I got a 41, which is a normal success.
Okay. All right. So what would you guys like to do? You find Dr. Margaret and Dr. Desmond as you are going through the lab. Any real equipment, it looks like it's been removed. You're finding, everything that you're finding in here is leftovers, more or less. There are some beakers that have seeds collected in them. Not a lot, but a few seeds. They had labels on them at one point, but the labels have peeled off and rotted away. You don't find any more paperwork or anything like that in there.
Margaret, it seems like that journal must have been already overgrown when Gall left this place, because otherwise he seems to have taken stuff with him. And there's nothing like, there's no complicated machinery of any kind, right?
No. And there's no tools.
Right. So even the most basic recombinant techniques, whatever he used to do whatever he did here is gone.
Right, but perhaps we noticed Tate left in quite a hurry. Maybe he was in a hurry too, and he just dropped it. With how fast everything seems to grow around here, they could have just not have been there for long to be covered by the plants.
Yeah, and I'm looking around for anything like a source of plant food.
You don't find anything, although there are old canisters and things. There are a number of bottles that might have held something. Looks like maybe he might have been mixing his own formulas. But once again, these bottles are empty and their labels have all rotted away.
And the roof in the lab is opaque.
Yes. Yeah.
Are the plants straining toward what windows there are?
Some of them are.
Uh-huh.
Some of them are just growing up into the room.
Yeah, whatever has all of this vegetation on overdrive is very unnatural.
Right, and they don't apparently need a lot of water. I don't see any watering systems in here.
Now it's moist in here, but yeah, you don't see any. You do see what might have been at one point a hydro, a way to mist the plants maybe, but it's all rot. It's all corroded and.
It's gone. So, but these plants, it's moist in here. I find that interesting.
I think the moisture in the air might be
water.
Respiration from the plants who have sunk tap roots deep around here, because it seems like all of this stuff has forced its way through the foundation.
Right, now these plants, there's a variety of them.
Yeah, a huge variety. In fact, it's mind-boggling trying to identify species. There's nothing in here that you immediately recognize. They all look like hybrids.
Is there any plants that appear to be feeding off of other plants?
That's a good question. Go ahead and do a spot hidden.
So a 62, that's going to be a pass, both a spot hidden and a parasitology. So
yeah, there's definitely what looks like plants growing on other plants. You can't, without a microscope, you can't tell if it's actually parasitic,
right.
But there are plants clinging to other plants and wrapping themselves like strangle vines around other plants. And it seems to be, now that you look around you, it's like an epic battle of the plants trying to outgrow each other. Dr. Ethan, do a spot hidden for me. It's you, Jason.
I was looking for my dice. 17, finally.
Okay. You are standing outside the greenhouse. Let me bring it up. You're standing outside the greenhouse. I'm sorry, you're standing outside the lab. You can see where the door is. And you look towards the north, and what you're seeing, which is in this direction over here, you're seeing that the forest is right there. Okay. But there's what you thought at first was a road that's going around the perimeter of the farm, but it doesn't look like a road. It looks like almost like a fire break.
Oh, okay. I'm going to tap who's ever closest next to me. Hey, take a look at this, and start walking in that direction.
Okay. And I will join him.
All right. So when you walk over to it, it's just on the other side of the fence. And the ground is mostly gravel, but there are big black char marks on it. And do you go onto the other side of the fence where the...
Is there a way to not walk on that?
Well, I mean, you can stand on this side of the fence and just look at it.
Yeah, I want to do that first, initially.
You look in both directions, and you can see that it goes all the way around the farm. You can't quite see all the way to the end of the wheat field, obviously, but you can. It looks like it's about 15 feet wide. It's gravel. It's been blasted with something to burn it. And you start to know, you can both do what we'll call it smell hidden. It's really,
right,
spot hidden, but we'll say it's smell. That really needs to be one of our things, is smell hidden.
Right.
All right. Hey, I passed.
I passed 32.
You both notice the very distinct smell of herbicide, that paraquat that's in the other. There's not a green speck anywhere in this barrier. It is devoid of life. It has been burned and poisoned and sterilized.
Dr. Mills, I wonder if this was some sort of a containment field or a failsafe, so none of the pollen, whatever you call it, traveled outside of. But
or to ensure that the roots don't travel.
You can see too, over farther on towards the center of the map. You can see that there is a little road that goes out into the forest from the farm.
Right. Yeah. Well, after kind of looking at it, it looks like it's kind of like a wooden fence that you could easily kind of like.
Oh, you could step
between this, or you could step over it.
You could climb over it without any trouble. It's
all right.
4 feet tall.
Yeah, I'll do that then. I was like, let's check it out.
Remember that weed killer is pretty toxic, so I don't know if you want to get that on your clothing.
Only if you eat it or breathe it.
And I got my chicken towel, so I'm good. So
all right, so then I'll go with them.
So you can hear the ground crunching under your feet because it's gravel. And yeah, there's not a speck of grass or a weed or anything growing in this area. And it goes right up to the edge of the forest. And then, of course, the forest is lush and green and beautiful, exactly what you'd expect it to be.
Normal plants in the forest and all. Okay.
Would you say it's about a 15 foot?
About 15 feet wide, yeah.
All right. Well, looks like he attempted at least to keep it contained. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is too much work for. This would have had to have been Harold Gall's work.
Yeah, it's a big job. So I'm going to start walking along the edge of the forest, headed in the direction of that road that cuts into the trees.
Okay. That's not very far on. You're basically going kind of in a diagonal around behind the barn. There's a couple of fruit trees. Looks like maybe apples, peaches, not apples in California, peaches and apricots.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes a turn. You're going behind the garage and behind the house, and you come to the place where there is a dirt path,
Right.
fairly wide one, maybe 10 feet wide, going off into the woods, and it winds into the woods. It's not a cut path. Well, it's not a traffic path. It's more or less walk out into the woods from there.
Right.
You can't see where it goes. It goes
Not for a vehicle, for
walking. Right.
Okay. Well, after we wrap it up here, maybe we'll grab the rest of the team and we'll see if this leads to anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Want to head back and let them know what we saw?
Yeah. Just give me a second. I'm going to kind of look down, take a couple steps down the path and see if I get the feel, because I've probably walked in woods before. I get the feel that, okay, yeah, this feels normal.
Do a power roll for me.
Oh, great. That is a fail.
Okay. As you're stepping into the woods, you get the distinct feeling that there's something out there watching you.
Okay.
But you might just be spooking yourself.
Right. But I trust my womanly instincts. I kind of put my hand on the mace and I kind of back up and was like, yeah, I just felt creepy. I'll definitely feel better going there with the other people there, Dr. Carlisle. I think that's the right idea.
All right, so we'll head back towards the greenhouse / office.
Okay.
Dr. Evans, you're working toward clearing a path specifically to the greenhouse door, right?
Yeah.
All right. By now you've probably done that.
All right. So let's open it up. I've got an arm full of plant samples already.
The door is actually open.
Right. And is the plant mass pushing into the lab from the greenhouse?
Some of it is, yeah, definitely. It's all intertangled there.
So is it walkable?
Not really.
Just lop a path.
You're going to have to continue to cut your way in.
Right, which I'll try to look through, like in between the plants, to see what's in the greenhouse as I'm kind of cutting.
You see the large purpley sort of tree-ish looking thing.
How tall is it?
It's pushing up against the roof of the greenhouse. So at
the
least
greenhouse is glass panels between steel slats?
Yes, yeah, aluminum.
Does it look like it's under stress? Are there plants poking through it?
You don't see anything breaking through the glass, no. Dr. Jonathan, what are you up to? You're outside us, I remember.
Yeah, so I'll still be kind of poking around in the lab.
Okay. All right, so you guys are at the door to the greenhouse looking in. It's moister inside the greenhouse, possibly from the heat. It's also incredibly hot. It's got to be well over 100 degrees where you're standing. So I'd like you to all do constitution rolls if you're inside the lab or the greenhouse.
I barely passed with a 53.
I rolled an 81 for 50. Desmond is not tough.
51 out of 55.
Okay, so Dr. Desmond, Dr. Jonathan, you notice Dr. Desmond just sort of, looking a little loopy from the, and you
Flushed.
figure it's from the heat. You guys are all sweating profusely at this point.
I'm going to immediately run over to him and drag him outside,
Okay.
preferably into a shady spot along the compound.
Well, yeah, there's actually no trees over there, but
Well, if there's shade up against like the lab or the greenhouse.
okay, yeah, we'll say you're just on the side of the lab where there's some shade.
Okay.
There's a little bit of grass there where up against the fence where you can sit.
Oh, and we brought some water. I could really, I think, use some water.
All right.
Is there water in the car?
Yeah,
Water and
Gatorade. I'll run grab some.
Thank you kindly. Oh,
Problem.
Make sure it's not moss water samples.
Definitely.
No, we had water and Gatorade.
Scrunch, 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 scrunch.
Back when there was just the yellow Gatorade.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you guys are doing that. Dr. Ethan and Dr. Heather are on their way back from walking a little bit around the perimeter. Dr. Margaret,
And I'm still cutting towards that tree.
do a spot hidden for me.
$96. That's not good.
Okay. All right, so you're cutting towards the tree, and the tree itself has kind of pushed a lot of things out of the way. It has very large purple flowers, and you can do a botany roll on it.
I don't have botany.
Oh, okay. A natural. Well, what do you
I
have?
have natural world. But
Natural world will work.
that's a 99.
Okay.
I don't know what this is at all.
There's something that seems a little bit familiar about these big purple flowers, except that you don't know what it is. They're very large flowers.
Well, at this point, I'm a little nervous because one, our little friend back in the lab looks like a tree stump just a little bit, and that's kind of on my mind. And two, these plants are a little funny, and now there are these weird flowers, so I don't think I'm going to get any closer to it
Okay.
in case it has any spores or some kind of gas I don't really want to get. Is there anything else like around? I want to kind of look at the other plants. Any other material in here?
There are quite a few other plants. One thing that you do notice, now that you're in this part of the greenhouse, is there is a vine that is growing out of what looks like a half a barrel, like a half a wine barrel that was sitting in the corner that was filled with dirt. Get those at Home Depot. And it had a plant growing in it that is spread all over. And you're pretty sure it's a species of carnivorous plant from Madagascar called an nepenthes. It has large pitchers that hang on the plant. And these in particular have rather sharp and nasty looking spines all growing on the lip and pointing downward.
They trap the insects that kind of go down into the pitcher and
Yeah, water gets in there. It tracks them.
You see a number of
juicy.
You see a number of those growing. But that doesn't seem to be like a species that you're not completely unfamiliar with. They're not particularly larger than they should be, but they are completely overgrown. And they do have a habit of being difficult to grow. So to be in this extremely hot condition, it's a little unusual that this could have survived in here, and yet it has.
Okay, I'm gonna look. So closer to like the base of these plants, right? They're just growing in dirt.
Some of them are growing in dirt. Some of them are, yeah, they're all in dirt.
Okay.
Um, although the tree-looking thing is now growing in the ground. There are shattered pieces of pot around it, and it has large. The base of it is large and bulbous as it goes upward.
So as Jonathan is coming in.
Jonathan is coming in behind you. He sees the same thing. Dr. Jonathan, do a spot hidden.
That's a 70 out of 25.
Okay.
Nope. That looks tropical.
Yeah, the flowers are almost mesmeric. They're sort of glowing purple. You wonder actually if they glow in the dark because they've got a very odd light quality to them. I'll give you
I look around for a light switch
there actually is a light switch, yes. But
in the greenhouse.
it looks like the bulb is probably broken. Dr. Margaret, do another spot hidden for me.
04.
Okay.
Nice.
There we go.
You look back and you see Dr. Jonathan. Dr. Jonathan is looking at the big purple flowers. And you look back at the big purple flowers and have they moved? Have they
Jonathan, step
changed
back.
their position?
Do I feel a breeze in here?
No. But I think they're all pointing at you.
I'm going to dash for the door and say, Jonathan, run.
Okay. Well, I'd like you to both do dex rolls because you guys are completely surrounded by plants and vines.
17. That's going to be a hard success.
It's going to be hilarious if Dr. Jonathan fails.
I failed.
Okay. So
I'm still looking for that light switch.
Dr. Margaret, Dr. Jonathan reaches for the light switch and you suddenly dash past him and out. And
What?
Dr. Jonathan, you're like, what? All right. But then Dr. Jonathan, you probably follow because you see that she's scared of something. All right. So you both pop out of the greenhouse. Where's everybody else?
We're I see them come running out as like going. Oh, did you see one of those creatures?
That there's a tree in there. There's this big tree, but these flowers and they seem to be tracking our movement in there.
Really?
What?
Yeah, those flowers on that tree.
That's disturbing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Great plants.
Was it once you got into the greenhouse that you noticed that, or was it when you're just in the lab?
It took a while to notice it, but
Okay.
Dr. Ethan, what are you up to? I'm sure you're muted.
I was checking on Desmond Flores to make sure he was doing all right.
Okay. Desmond seems to be recovering now that he's in the shade and you've given him some water and Gatorade. You're all sweating profusely.
yeah.
How hot is it outside, just in general today in Delilah?
Probably in the high 80s.
But at least it's dry outside of the greenhouse and the lab.
Correct. And there's a slight breeze blowing.
Well, colleagues, I've got a lot of samples from in there that I think we have to, again, treat real gingerly.
Yeah.
Do we think we're done here for today?
I
Well,
want to check out this garden. At least get a closer look.
and
the produce field?
Yeah, the circles.
Sure.
And I explained to him about that footpath we found and about the break zone. You know, the 15-foot gravel surrounding.
So it seems like Gaul was being conscious about containing things, maybe.
Yeah.
But then he just sold the property and left all of this advanced experimental material behind for...
If that's his journal,
fire.
he was scared.
Oh.
He was worried that something he made was trying to kill him. And I'm going to kind of lean against the car and drink some Gatorade because I've been in there for a while.
I'm going to look back into the greenhouse at the tree and see if I notice the flowers. Kind of wave my hand around.
Are you back in the greenhouse?
No, I'm just in the doorway.
How long are you going to stand there and do that?
Just a quick look, wave my hand, see if the flowers track it.
When you move like that, nothing seems to happen.
I suddenly become skeptical.
It might take a long time to move if they are moving, or if you guys just got paranoid, but maybe it's very slowly moving. Like when a Venus flytrap catches it, it doesn't snap shut. It slowly closes over on the fly.
Maybe they just have an effect like those paintings in art galleries where they look like they're always looking at you. You know, it just
Possibly, yeah.
those strange colors. You know, could just be an illusion.
So are you going to stay in there, Dr. Jonathan? Or are you
Now I'll turn around and ask Ethan, what's this about a footpath?
We found.
But before you go on, Dr. Jonathan, do a dex roll.
That's a pass.
Okay. As you turn around and start to head towards Dr. Desmond, or you're going to go out to go where Dr. Desmond is, a vine has wrapped itself around your foot. Now, you're not so sure if you didn't just accidentally step into it and didn't notice, but it doesn't knock you off your feet. You sort of take a step forward and you realize it's there and you yank and you pull your foot free.
Odd. Anyway, Ethan, what's this about a footpath?
Oh, well, Dr. Mills and myself, when we were looking at what I'll essentially call a fire break, there was like a footpath going off into the woods. Not big enough for a vehicle, but I think, we're here. We should investigate a little further.
What time is it?
It's still only about, I forget what time we got here. You traveled for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We left
till
it
10
early.
something, and then we had food at the diner. And I'd say we've been here for at least 90 minutes.
Yeah, and you got here
Around 10:45, I have.
around 10:45.
So
We'll
it should
say
be around.
Just say it's approaching noon.
Okay.
So the sun is high up in the sky.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's a national forest right there, right?
That's the
Yeah.
National Forest right there. Yeah, that's
So that might be cooler. I want to pop some of these plant samples into the fridge in the house. Because if I
Sure.
put them in the truck, they'll be...
Yeah, they'll be cooked.
And we have these also, and I hold up the little bag of caterpillars.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are we thinking a hike?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
a stroll.
I'd agree that it probably will be cooler in there. It'll be shaded.
Get out of the sun.
Yeah, and we could talk over what we've found so far and see if we can make any sense of any of it.
All right. So you've put the samples into the fridge. What did you do with the caterpillars? Put them in the house?
Put them in the house, but not into the fridge. Just
Okay.
maybe on the table or the counter or sink, but in a container.
All right. And you're going to head for the path into the woods. All right. I'd like you to all do power rolls.
19.
That's a good stat.
9. That's going to be an extreme success.
Regular.
That's a fail.
Okay.
Because I only rolled either really good or really, really bad.
So those of you who got really good, you have a feeling from the farm because of the things that you've seen, because of the text that you read. It feels like there's something malevolent here. Something's watching you, although you don't know what it is or where it is.
I don't.
The forest, however, does look inviting.
So I would hate to leave. Because I'm just worried about what's out here. Out here on the farm, I mean. He was so concerned about containing it. I think if we stayed longer with that tree, I swear it moved. Just, I would hate to walk off into the woods and come back to something ambushing us before we can get into the car. If that sounds paranoid, call me paranoid, but that's...
Well, Peter Tate left here in a real damned hurry, and that cat is pretty anxious about something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got us all on edge, that's for sure.
But I'm just concerned that a long walk off into the woods might give whatever it is, I don't know, time to prepare almost. I don't know. It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, if we left and came back, it'd still have the time, and we're here. I think. And was it the house that gave us that feeling, the malevolence?
No, it's those fields.
Oh, those fields, yeah, the circular ones. Yeah. Let's just go a little. It just calls to me.
I mean, we're here already.
Yeah.
I would want to leave something out there.
Now you can see that the path goes into the woods. You can also see that this goes up on, to a higher ground. There's definitely, the mountains are in that direction. You're in the hills. The mountains are in the north of where you are too.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to go walking for miles and miles on this path, but maybe we can get a better elevation just to look down onto the farm.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Come on. Let's do it, and we'll just get it done, and that'll save us the most amount of time.
All right.
Before we go, could we take some of that weed killer and kind of spray it in a circle around the car?
I mean, why not? Or, oh no, that wouldn't make sense.
If you feel it's necessary.
Did that fire break? Did that surround even the driveway that we pulled up to?
No, it goes all the way around to the asphalt street outside, and that's of course 20 or 30 feet wide. So nothing growing in that.
I mean, I'd like to leave the car as close as we can in case we had to run to it. I wouldn't want it, trying to be safe and putting it closer to the fire break, and then we need to get to it quicker.
I mean, fire break's 15 foot. It's gravel. We could just pull the car up to there. Might knock part of this fence down, but they already plowed through their gate. I don't think they're that worried about maintaining this.
Everybody do an idea roll.
Yes.
Failed.
Hard.
100.
Oh, actually, I got it exactly.
Success.
Okay. If you succeeded, you have to ask yourself, what exactly are you preparing for? Do you think that the plants are going to get your car?
Well, I haven't I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
I mean, your car is right there.
Yeah, I haven't seen
All right. Yeah.
nothing out of the ordinary except for weird plants and moss. Most of which seems kind of innocuous. So
Yeah, if the moss can outrun us,
I think we've got other problems.
yeah.
Right. I'm not saying we go move in the car and everything, but let's just think of it this way, guys. A couple days ago, none of us saw whatever that tree stump creature is. There's plants in that greenhouse that could possibly be moving. I didn't see it, but I'm not discounting anything. A cat that is absolutely, utterly terrified, and a missing person whose car is scratched up completely everywhere on it. So,
And that missing person is the only connection between the tree stump creature and this farm. But
yep.
the tree stump creature came from Biozyme, so
Yeah.
it's just a coincidence.
Well, now we Dr. Evans found that journal that says there's a malevolent creature that that he created. So possibly Biozyme didn't do this. Maybe Harold Gall is the start of this whole. And if he created that creature, could there be another stump out there waiting for us?
Wait a minute,
We're
Margaret.
waiting for some ground beef and insect larvae.
Margaret, what did the journal you found? What did it say about the thing that it created?
It said it turned, whatever it was, it turned into kind of a clear jelly-like substance. It doesn't say what it did after that, but it said it turned into a clear jelly-like substance and that it was trying to kill him.
What was the compound that Dr. Tate stole from Biozyme? Or that Biozyme was messing with?
There was
Was that
something there was something that made people grow.
Yeah. Was that a clear jelly substance? I don't know.
I don't know exactly what the substance was.
Huh.
But whatever Don Biozyme had made things grow a lot. This farm has things that makes things grow a lot.
Let's keep that in mind.
We have a plant.
The next time we have all of our notes in front of us.
And Big Jen grew. The plants are growing. I think now that we discussed this,
The connection there.
I think Harold Gall might be the culprit in this whole thing.
Well, think about it this way: the people in the town didn't know who he was working for. They said he was doing some kind of experiments. They thought it was for the government, but who knows if he was doing contract work or maybe a Don Biozyme. We don't know.
And when he stopped farming his land, other farmers wanted it because the plants grew better here.
Right. Yeah.
And do you think then that Peter Tate pretended that the specimen came from Don Biozyme because he was angry about being passed up for promotion there, when really it was from this farm? But when did he buy this farm? I don't know if that's possible.
No, I think he got the creature before he moved out here. Do you remember the timeline of his journal?
Well, he got out to the farm on July 27th.
Do we know when did he send the creature?
He said it the day that he left San Damiel to come out here.
So that days.
Yeah, so we wouldn't have had a creature out here.
So let's just say Don Biozyme was working with Harold Gall. Then I just blanked on his name. Learned about this farm from working at Don Biozyme, and then bought it because he knew that's where Harold Gall was doing his work.
Or maybe Gall doesn't work for Don Biozyme. What if Don Biozyme maybe stumbled across his research notes that they stole from some other agency? Like, who knows how they're connected? But in any event, their two lines of research seem linked to me.
Yeah.
They both involve things that grow really fast, and apparently some kind of strange creatures that were manufactured in a sense.
Yeah, and hybridizations that don't seem possible.
Right, but wouldn't you need advanced equipment to do this work, and who would have that? The company that we're working in right now in their facilities, Don Biozyme, and maybe a handful across the country. That would be it.
But there looked to appear to be spots of equipment that he took with him. Maybe he just set up shop somewhere else. Perhaps whatever he did here, he decided that moving his operation was better than trying to salvage the situation here.
Moving because of the malevolent creature he created.
Dr. Ethan, do an idea roll.
11.
Okay.
It's extreme.
You recall from the journal that Peter didn't know who he was buying the farm from.
Okay.
He was buying it through an agent, and he made a reference that maybe he would find out who he was buying it from in the public record, but at the time that he bought it, he didn't know.
Okay. All right. So that doesn't work then. I'm just trying to figure out the connection here.
Right.
No, I don't think that Tate knew what he was walking into, but the path, the research path of these two, whoever this Gaul was, and Don Biozyme seemed a little too close for comfort.
Yeah.
They're very similar.
Were you going to look in the circular field first, or were you going to go in for a walk in the woods?
I was thinking, because we're coming out from the lab.
Yeah, you're sitting in the grass next to them.
Yeah. My plan is I'm going to hop the fence into the circular field and circle around, then hop the fence to get onto that gravel thing to get to the path that goes into the woods.
And what are the rest of you are watching him do this, or are you going to?
No, I'll go.
When Dr. Mills suggested that we look closer to where we are before taking our stroll in the woods, I think that made sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So you've hopped the fence and you're in the field.
Mm-hmm.
With the plants growing. Do a spot hidden.
Just him?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
all of you. All of you.
I failed. 83.
48 is good.
I got a hard success.
Okay.
I got an extreme success. 04.
07.
Those of you who passed, you notice there's something really odd, not only in the fact that these plants are all planted in circles, but that the ground really isn't bermed up for them. Normally you would berm up the ground and plant the plant like this in a nice straight field so that it's easy. In this case, they're planted directly in the ground. They're coming up in these concentric circles over and over again.
To be clear, are they circles or spirals?
They're circles. Well, they're actually, it takes you a while, but you do realize they're spirals. They start in the center. My picture shows circles because I couldn't do spirals.
But it's kind of like, because they're regularly spaced, like a creature was pooping out seeds and moving in a line.
Yeah.
Or a machine was devised that went in a
Did the same
spiral,
thing.
dropping different seeds.
Yeah.
And then when it would run out of room, it would start another spiral.
Right.
Explain why every...
Is there much vegetable matter? Like, is there mulch, or are there old plants, or is it just dirt?
It's just dirt. And there's not a weed. There's not a weed or a blade of grass or anything else growing there except those plants.
Wow. That's impressive. And is there, like, I'm looking for, like, is there tire tracks, because I'm picturing a vehicle that would circle? No?
No.
Okay. Huh.
This is getting stranger and
Would
stranger.
try pulling one of these plants up?
Not yet.
Yeah. Let's go for it. I'll go for a carrot.
Okay. So you reach for a carrot and do a strength roll plus 20. You don't need strength.
The gopher has it.
It pulls back.
It pulls back.
The
No.
carrot pulls you into the game.
The carrot pulls out rather easily. It's a nice, healthy-looking carrot, maybe about that long.
Cool.
Fat and orange. And do a dex roll, Dr. Heather.
No.
You pull it out, and there is a looks like maybe a tomato plant next to it. Oddly, that they're all planted different plants. The tomato plant seems to react.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretty sure it moved, but maybe you bumped up against it and just made it seem like it moved. Everybody else do spot hiddens.
Failed.
28. That's going to be a hard success.
15. Also.
Okay. Dr. Margaret and Dr. Desmond, you both think that you saw something move. Something moved from a plant next to the tomato onto the tomato just before it looked like Dr. Heather rubbed up against the plant, and the plant sort of almost seemed like the plant lashed out at her.
So something is a clear jelly, something is an insect.
You don't see any jelly or anything like that. You almost got the impression that it was a big spider, but there's nothing there. You don't see anything. It could have all been just your imagination.
I'm going to pull out another plant and watch real close.
All right. What are you going to pull out?
What's on the other side of that tomato plant?
Oh, we'll say, I don't know, eggplant.
I'll go start pulling on that.
Okay.
I don't want to pull it all the way out of the ground. I want to start tugging on it.
Tugging on it? Yes. Almost immediately, the tomato vine next to you, one of the vines lashes out at you. I mean, actively moving, like it's trying to whip at your arm. You can do a dodge roll, but
Yeah, nope. 73. Not 10.
It whips against the back of your hand and it stings. It hurts. And now the plant suddenly sort of just moves a little bit and then sort of comes to a rest. But it definitely tried to attack you. I mean, you all saw this.
Yeah.
There's something
I think
Weird.
check. It looked very.
Sandro?
Yeah, Sandroll for everybody.
45 is a pass.
Just passed.
Nice.
Ah. Pass.
40.
1
All right,
point for pass.
If you pass, just take 1 point of sand.
I think there's a reason that 2 people have been buying paraquat. And I think we should start in the greenhouse. And I think our stroll in the forest will be after we kill all of this. Because I think this land is better off poisoned than covered with whatever is happening here.
Yeah. Get some salt.
I hate permanently poisoning it. But
I would like Dr. Ethan, Heather, Jonathan, and Margaret to do spot hiddens. I would like Dr. Desmond to do a dodge roll.
I anticipated that.
82 is a fail.
25. I finally pass a spot hidden.
Dr. Desmond is not a dexterous man.
Just a pass.
No, I failed by 5.
All right. Those of you who passed your spot hidden, the tomato plant that has lashed out at Margaret, you think that you see something spider-like move from that plant to the plant adjacent, and then to another plant, and then to another one. And this is happening extremely fast, but it comes around to where Dr. Desmond is. And, tomato plants are so easy. We'll say it's another tomato plant, but the tomato plant literally pulls itself downward and wraps itself around Dr. Desmond's leg and yanks her so that she loses her balance and falls.
Him.
Ow. Sorry.
Well, I think that's probably a sand roll for me.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see that?
Well, and before you can actually even react, the plant is trying to whip Dr. Desmond.
And
We need to isolate that plant.
I start running back towards where their clippers are.
That's right. I was thinking.
Get like a box or something. We need to trap that plant.
I was gonna say, can I try and kick at the plant?
Sure.
Because it's, obviously trying to hurt Desmond. So I'm just gonna kick towards the dirt, like at the stem of it.
And I'm presumably something like arms over face and maybe trying to roll and yank my leg free.
Right.
Would that be fighting brawl, or would that be just a
Yeah,
dexterity?
we'll call it brawl. Yeah. Dr. Heather, Dr. Jonathan.
97.
Plants are attacking Dr. Desmond.
I think I kicked Dr. Desmond because I just rolled a 97.
Okay.
Is there anything nearby that I could use to kind of like a box or something that I could put over the tomato plant?
There's no box or anything like that.
If I remember correctly, Dr. Desmond has a bottle of weed killer on him.
Did somebody go back for the weed killer? I remember somebody
back
mentioned it.
Clippers and weed killer.
No, like from last episode, I'm pretty sure it was Dr. Desmond had a thing of weed killer from as soon as we got on the farm.
He was chopping in the lab. So
I imagine it might be sitting outside the lab or something, but I don't think it's in my pocket.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for kicking you. As I kick, I say, "Oh shit, I'm sorry."
Yeah. I'm going to go and how big is this tomato plant? Is it like
well, when it was standing up, it was probably
okay, yeah, it's
4
a
feet high,
full grown one.
Now it's wrapped around Dr. Desmond's leg.
I'm going to try and reach as close to the ground on it and just yank it up because my experience with tomato plants, they come out of the ground pretty easy. So
okay. Yes, indeed, it pulls right out of the ground. As soon as you do that, you definitely see the plants around you react. But Dr. Heather, do a spot hidden.
no.
Okay. The rest of you who are watching this insane display, do a spot hidden.
19.
Nope.
Okay. Dr. Ethan. Well, first thing that happens is, Dr. Desmond, you notice immediately that the plant is no longer attacking you. Dr. Ethan, you notice that the plants rustle, they move, but they do it like when he pulls up the tomato plant, then that plant rustles, then that plant, then that plant, then that plant, then that plant, then that plant. And then a plant over here lashes out at Dr. Heather and attacks her. The plants are not all acting at the same moment. They're all sequential.
I yell out, I think I saw like a spider, but something's jumping from plant to plant.
We need to try and trap that.
Yeah.
I need to get the fuck out of this field. So what I need to do. This is a madhouse.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and pull Desmond back up to his feet.
Okay. Dr. Margaret, you have reached where the greenhouse, where the clippers were, and the poison. So you've got that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Things. Yep. No, I'm gonna run back.
All right. You start running back, and you see the four of them are struggling with something in the field. Dr. Heather, the plant next to you, is starting to whip out at you. Do a dodge roll.
Okay. No.
Okay. It hits you and scratches your arm.
God damn it. Do I have my purse?
No, you're not carrying your purse. And
Okay.
you left your high heels back in the...
Yeah, I was thinking because I bought those cigarettes and a lighter. It's like maybe if I had had some hairspray, I'd just burn these.
We seriously need to go to this field, and we need to approach it with a plan.
I'm
Let's vacate the field.
I'm running for the fence because
okay.
this is
You're only about 10 feet from the fence where you were.
I'm running 15 feet then.
Okay. So you jump back over the fence. Is everybody running for the fence?
Yes.
All right. Margaret, you see, as you're running towards them, you see them running for the fence, and they all jump over to the fence. And everybody do a spot hidden. Not you, Margaret.
I failed.
Pass.
Okay. Those of you who failed, you're too busy looking at the fence and jumping over it. Those of you who passed, once again, you see the plants rippling in as if something is jumping from plant to plant and following you. And it follows you right onto the grass. And the grass is now rippling and heading right towards you.
So, and I don't see this?
Well, you see them running, so you're just wondering what they're running from, because it seems to you like they're just running from something. I mean, you know the plants are doing something, but now they're over the fence.
Guys, what's going on? And I start pumping the poison.
Get in the goddamn car. Get in the goddamn car right now.
Okay, we need to try and trap that thing.
What thing?
The
Spider thing?
The thing, yeah. It's making the plants move. You can see it.
Now, when you get onto the gravel, you notice that the rippling stops. Well, it comes right to the edge of the plant, and then it sort of ripples along the edge of the grass back and forth, but it can't get to you on the...
I'm going to spray the weed killer in kind of like a circle to try to cut it off from reaching back out into the field.
Okay.
Careful with that stuff.
It almost seems like okay, so you're going to try and cut it off,
like
going back to the plants.
Yeah.
Okay. Wherever you move with that weed killer, it tries to follow along so that you can't actually get onto the grass. When you finally get close enough to where you can spray a large portion of the grass, there's a fruit tree there which suddenly begins to move and whip its branches at you rather violently. And I'll say apricots fly all over the place as it does this.
Oh, I hate apricots.
They hate me, apparently.
But the entire tree is now moving. You're muted, Dr. Desmond. The tree is violently shaking.
Yeah.
Moving.
This confirms my belief that we get in the car. I'm getting in the car because there's no plants in the car.
Did anybody else see like a spider-like creature? I
think
swear.
I saw something back when.
Yeah, it was something. We need to try and catch that.
Well, if you want to go battle the apricot tree, that's fine with me. But I think that there's plenty of other plants that need to be killed before we leave here.
Also, apparently, It speaks English. Because it got more aggressive when I said we should paraquat the whole field.
That's
And I'm
true.
going to be describing that fact as I walk briskly toward the SUV.
Okay.
I think I'll leave the plants and I think I'll leave the samples in the fridge until we can deal with this larger situation.
Yeah,
Now you can
the
see.
hike can wait too. I don't want to be going on a hike with this thing running around.
I roll down the window. Yeah, screw that hike.
I want you to all do idea rolls.
Just a
76
basic
is a pass.
Regular.
regular.
As you look,
6. Sorry.
as you look around you, you're in the farm. As you look around, you get the distinct impression that the thing can't go anywhere unless there's green. There's plant life. So it's definitely contained within the farm if there's no way it can cross to the outside.
Wait a minute. I'm going to whisper to Dr. Flores. Actually, we should go grab one of those samples and almost almost encourage it to get onto whatever those dead plants are. Maybe a bit of moss or something.
Yeah, let's try and trap. Let's build a bridge and try to trap
get
it
to come
and
out
grapple.
towards us, and then trap it on the sample, pin it, the sample, gravel, scoop it up, call it a day.
Well, now I think I know why those fields are built that way. It's so it could travel across the dirt.
Huh.
Right, nice little walkways. I'm gonna go back for the caterpillars. I don't want to forget those guys. I'd feel bad.
Well, that's another thing that you notice is that there is grass here and there in the farm. There's some that goes right up against the house. There's little patches here and there. But there are some patches, like there's one right in the front corner of the barn that's 20 feet from any other plant life. But that there are plants growing all the way around the farmhouse and the garage. There's a little patch up near the chicken coop. There's a patch over towards the side, but there's large areas where there's no way for this thing, if it travels with plants, that it can get to.
Well, so can it get from where it is now in the tree to the house? Or is the gravel pit too wide?
Well, you haven't seen any more activity from it. And
The trees settled down?
yeah.
So it's no longer there.
Well, or
Well-
it's keeping its distance. I mean, I can see where the cat is terrified.
I'd like you all to do spot hiddens.
I'm still waiting for that extreme that I rolled a while ago.
Fail.
What did I ask you to roll? You got the
You had
extreme
us
one?
make spot hiddens that were would help us later.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry about those.
Okay.
I
Fail.
got a 22 for 55. So
Okay,
a hard
72
success.
out of 75.
88.
Okay, so who got the best roll? Dr. Desmond?
Yeah, 22.
Dr. Desmond, you guys are all, let's assume that you've moved your way towards the car. So you're standing near the car. Something suddenly catches your eye. You look over by the house, and in a patch of grass, there is a single little red flower that seems to be twinkling in the sun. And it's once again, it's almost mesmeric. That's my new word, by the way. I watched Velvet Buzzsaw, and I love the new. That's my new word. You see this little red flower, and it looks very odd. I mean, you've never seen a flower that looks quite like it. And it's not far from where you're standing. So as you look over at it, it seems to be growing out of something, but not the ground. A closer look shows you that it seems to be growing out of a mouse. There's a dead mouse there, and this little red flower is growing out of it. And
I'm glad it was a mouse because I thought it was going to be a human finger. And a mouse is slightly less horrible.
yeah, no.
Well, let's get that in plastic. I'm not going to touch it directly. But I'm going to put it in a jar.
So you pointed out to the rest of them.
Yeah.
Everybody else do spot hiddens again.
40,
15.
that's a pass.
Pass.
Hard.
As you look around you for some
Double lot 2.
Oh, excellent. We'll get to you,
That was
Dr.
2-1.
Jonathan, in just a second. As you look around you, where you're standing, over towards the wheat fields, over towards where the chicken coop is, over where there's a patch of grass, you see a couple more little red flowers. Little patches of red flowers here and there.
Now, we didn't notice this prior, or
No,
did
not
this just
really.
spring up?
You never really looked in the direction of the wheat fields.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not...
Planted in circles. They're planted in rows like regular old wheat
Yeah.
fields.
All right, I'll get back out of the car, and I'll walk over to the flowers by the chicken coop.
Yeah.
Staying on gravel.
You're pretty sure there's a dead chicken there. It's kind of buried a little bit in the grass. It's rotted. But there
Yeah.
are red flowers growing out of it. And the red flowers are not going into the soil. They're going into the internal organs of the rotted chicken and wrapping themselves around its body parts, the little tendrils of its feet.
Can I make I don't know, maybe further study? I have a lot of parasitology. This is my field. I'm now very, very interested in these flowers.
These definitely look like parasites, possibly saprophytic. They're feeding off the dead.
Mm-hmm.
You notice a couple more mice. You notice a rabbit, a squirrel, and there's a larger patch towards the side that you're pretty sure is a dog.
Mm.
And Dr. Jonathan, you had an eagle eye. There is something out in that field. You're pretty sure it was, when you guys pulled up, you saw it. You thought it was just a scarecrow with, maybe a red flannel shirt on. But that's the same color red as the flowers. There's something out there in the field that's bright red, just like these flowers up on that scarecrow.
Oh, no. Would you say that one looks like a dog, right?
Yeah. Looks like the dog's been dead for a while.
What does that look like to anyone else out in the field?
A scarecrow. What do you?
We
Or
all see
Harold
it's got
Gall.
red flowers all over it.
When's the last time we heard about a missing person and a missing dog?
Yep.
Kid,
The
the runaway kid.
Ugh. Yeah, Steven, his boy Steven.
So what killed the
went-
mouse and the dog and the boy? Was it the red plant that did it?
Well,
Or
we
did
need
something
to
do
study
it
the
and
field.
plant the red plant in it?
Did any of you get cut by the plants at all?
No.
Any broken
didn't.
skin?
Dr. Heather got scratched.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Starts squeezing at it, see if like any nastiness comes out.
We need to get that looked at.
I believe, I'm pretty sure, don't we have a first aid kit in the car?
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we should at the very least try and
Clean that
rubbing alcohol, whatever, something, wipes, something.
Okay, I'm gonna just.
I have a little bit of medical knowledge.
Somebody
not-
watch my back. I want to go get those caterpillars. I want to see because we need to get out of here regardless. But we need a sample of one of those plants and some living creatures that have, I would assume, be born here and have been eating things here. I want to see how fast they develop into butterflies or moths or whatever they're going to turn into.
Yeah, let's snag the mouse sample because that's small, portable, and not potentially criminal evidence.
Now, Tom, I have a 65 in medicine and a high first aid. Can I take a look at Heather to see if there's any?
It looks like a scratch.
This looks like a scratch.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's go.
You don't have a microscope with you. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's go wash it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back for the caterpillars.
Yeah, I assume there was soap inside, so.
And there's no green matter right now that is acting malevolent in a way that is obvious.
Correct.
The tree has calmed down. Their grass isn't following us along the edge of the gravel.
Is there like binoculars or a camera inside the house when we were looking around?
Mm-mm. Yeah. Nothing like that.
All right. Well, I'll get my plant samples from the fridge, but I think we're going to decamp, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dr. Heather and Dr. Ethan are going in the house to wash.
Yeah.
Dr. Margaret, you're going to get a sample of the mouse.
I'm going to go get the caterpillars.
Okay.
That we left inside.
Who was going to?
I was going to put the mouse and the flower in the container.
Okay, you were going to get the mouse and the flower. Dr. Jonathan?
I'm just going to make sure that nobody's running off alone.
Okay.
So anyone not with a group of people.
So three of us are going into the house. So
okay. Yeah, I'll stay with Desmond then.
Okay. Dr. Jonathan, do a spot hidden. Dr. Desmond, do a spot hidden.
Oh, that's not a critical fail, but it's a fail.
All right.
I only failed by 2. Is it worth luck?
There's only flowers growing out of dead things. That might be worth a little luck.
Yeah, I rolled a 57 for 55, so maybe I'll take a little.
Take 2.
Yeah.
All right. Dr. Jonathan, you hear a rustling sound, but you look around and you don't see where it's coming from. Dr. Desmond, as you are reaching for the mouse, you also hear a slight rustling noise, and you see it almost looks like something's moving through the grass. The grass is rippling and heading right towards where you're standing. And before you can react, because you're just sort of reaching at that moment, whatever it is moves into the mouse and the flower, and the mouse suddenly begins to twitch in front of you. So you can do a sanity roll.
Sounds fair.
Do we have any Paraquat with us?
Hey, I rolled a 4, so I was very resilient.
Dr. Margaret had the poison.
I'm wondering, so given that I had a very good sanity roll, do I take the cap and plastic container away, or do I slap it around the twitching mouse?
I think you probably jumped a little.
Yeah.
But
it would be nice to get this thing isolated from living matter. Maybe that is that a power roll? If I can overcome that, or is it just the saner thing to do to not get away from it?
I'll let you do whatever you want to do in this case.
Desmond, I heard a rustling.
Yeah, the thing is in the dead mouse.
And it's actually trying to move the mouse.
Yeah. Which means it would try to move a human if it could get to it too.
As you are standing there, the mouse with the red flower, and obviously whatever the entity is that's moving it, actually moves a little off onto the gravel. And then it moves back onto the grass. And it becomes inert. It stops moving. But you think the thing is looking for something else.
Have it come back out with the caterpillars.
Yeah. And you see Dr. Desmond like freaking out.
Yeah, I've got a plastic jar and lid in my hands, and I'm looking at the ground, and I'm pale and blotchy. I also, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna scoop up the mouse and flower.
Okay.
I think that, I don't think the thing is there anymore, and I wasn't sure that it was safe to take it away from this place anyway.
Okay, I was going to say the same thing. I think it's looking to get out of here. We don't want to let it out.
Yeah.
Everybody do a spot hidden.
It's been contained here for...
It went into the mouse?
I failed.
75 is a pass right on the dot.
Double up 5.
Didn't see nothing.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay. What did you get, Dr. Jonathan?
5.
Oh, you got 5? Dr. Jonathan, you immediately notice that one of the rabbits is starting to crawl towards the border.
It's over there.
Towards the forest.
It's going for the forest. We need... Quick. I break off the sprint after it.
Okay.
Margaret, bring the paraquat.
And try to keep it away from the trees.
No kidding.
Go ahead and do a paraquat spray roll.
I got a 12.
We'll call it
That's where I put all my points.
Yeah.
If it's a brawl, then I got a hard success. I rolled a 12.
Okay.
There you go.
You sort of leap over there and you spray the rabbit and the grass around it and the flower. And when you do that, there is a moment when you see something. It definitely looks like a large globule, maybe like the size of a grapefruit, with tendrils that immediately moves off of the flower and the rabbit and goes towards the grass. And when it does, it almost melts into the grass, like it's moving into the plants. And then you see sort of a slow, quivery rustle of the grass moving away towards the dog.
Oh, I just keep spraying. I'm chasing it with the spray.
Okay. You see it turn. So now you're sort of chasing it, and it's moving at a fairly good pace. It moves into the wheat.
Yeah.
When it does, you see the wheat start to rustle, and it's heading towards
Get
the scarecrow.
in the car. Everyone in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm getting in the car. Wish I had a Molotov cocktail. Burn this place down.
Now I'm wondering if when it's out of earshot, because if this thing, Desmond said it understood him, I'm going to say, I wonder if it gets in that body, if it could walk out through the gravel.
Well, wait, I just have to watch it. I'm going to make a sanity roll because I saw the tentacle globule thing. And I
Okay.
passed. That's 66. So I was kind of expecting to see some kind of clear jelly thing, and that's what I saw. So
But if it could jump into this thing, why would it still just be here? I don't think it can get out of here.
I don't think we should risk it.
wait,
Now,
well, it's
but-
gone. Should
Well,
we go and spray the giant tree?
It got onto the gravel for a moment and then it turned around, right? When it was on an animal body.
Yeah, on a mouse.
Who knows what the hell it can do?
Do an idea roll.
I was all for leaving, but now I'm afraid to leave.
96. I don't have any ideas.
So we,
Everybody?
I've got a normal success.
The mouse was pretty badly rotted. The rabbit was less rotted, and it moved better.
yeah.
When did
How long has the boy been missing?
go missing?
Months.
Months.
He's been gone a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
A few
Right, he's
months.
done it before.
Mm-hmm.
But it got to the chickens, though.
But yeah, and it's big.
Something
Yeah.
up
I
there got to
mean,
the
it has more mass, the boy does. And it seemed to be going from mammal to larger mammal intentionally.
And it only has 15 feet.
Yeah. Screw it. Is the field dry? Is the
Yes.
wheat field dry?
Well,
I'll
it's still green, but it's pretty dry.
Okay. Thus, there's no objections. I say we set fire to it and let's go. This place creeps me out.
Wonder if we want to be a little more specific.
We got a fire break.
And
Got a fire
discreet.
break on one side in a road, but we might want to.
A bunch of smoke might draw unwanted attention.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, yeah, we're going to have arson issues
Yeah.
for sure. Everyone knows we ran it at the Tate place, and there's no Tate. And there's going to be perhaps the skeletal charred remains of a human boy if we're lucky. But I'm wondering if we need to I wonder if we need to do a perimeter of gasoline and then light it rather than just light the edge and hope the fire is faster than the entity.
I don't think the fire would be faster than the thing.
We
Still that
I-
tree, that tree that was watching us originally. Do you think the globule was following us from there? Should we spray the tree with the weed killer, do you think?
that could take weeks to kill the tree. But there's a good point. There will be a skeletal remains of a boy, and we will be persecuted for, or at least brought to trial for murdering a boy. We need to get that thing in the trunk. We can't just,
We should
Can
get
we
it in
lure
the
it?
car and see what it does.
or lure it out of the body and then
We need to
drag the.
try and lure it into the central gravel area so then it can't leave the farm, and we can kind of. I guess
We
we
don't understand its intentions, except to defend plant life from us.
Yeah, and I'm gonna guess it wants to get out to the forest so it could travel.
Right. The thing has been that journal. It talked about the white genital thing that was malevolent, like it was out to kill him. That's what he felt. And I saw a white gelatin-like creature with tentacles move out of that rabbit and into the grass. I don't think that it has noble environmentalist ideals.
Right.
Well, I wasn't trying to ascribe nobility to it, just trying to understand what it's going to try to do. I think that Dr. Carlisle's got a good point about there being a large forest next door. And presumably, if this thing's alive, that it derives sustenance, and it seems to be attached to green life.
Right, but
So
If you
stopping
wanted to
that would
get
be
out.
good.
and
If you want to do a spot hidden,
yeah, it's coming for us. 73 is a pass.
19.
that's a fail.
33 is good.
those of you who passed, you can see the whatever it is on the scarecrow is twitching.
I think that if it could have already gotten out of here using that body, it would have.
I
I
agree.
really think it would. If it could get out of here, it would have already done it.
So we get out of here at Tate speed and then figure out how to burn the place down.
Alexa, stop.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Why don't
I'm gonna
we? Oh, sorry. Go.
I'm going to get into the car and sit behind the wheel because Heather wants to get the hell out of here. She is creeped out.
It can't with the rotted body, but if it gets one of us fresh,
Yeah.
who knows what it can do?
If that body comes near me, I'm running it over.
I think it needs
Actually-
a dead body. I don't think it's going to just jump. Well, just hypothetically speaking.
we don't know that
if-
until we study the
I
Let's
think
see.
it's actually operating the plant that's growing out of the
Yeah.
necrotic tissue.
Let's
right,
see.
right.
But I've got a biome. There's plant matter inside me. I think we want to get away from it and then destroy this entire property.
Yeah. Let's see if we can recruit some locals.
You have suddenly noticed that there's just a stick out there now.
I'm in the car.
In the car,
In the car.
But let's drive to the other side of the gravel and get out of the vehicle and let's see what it does. I
we
don't.
will drive to the outside of the gravel and then
Other
talk
side
about
of the
it.
road.
Yeah, other side of the road.
Yeah.
I,
And
Outside
then we
of the
see what it can do.
If we say that if we go back to town, find the sheriff, say that Tate was not there,
Heather, please start driving.
and that there was
Yep.
a dog body and potentially a human corpse on the property, I think that becomes a very easy recruitment tool for our cause.
But they're not going to want to burn it down. They're going to want to investigate it.
Yeah,
That's-
they're going to want to bury that boy.
Yeah.
then
in a
the
graveyard.
feds are going
And
to
we'll
get
treat-
called in. Federal agents will get called in, and we don't want the government getting this, whatever it is, and weaponizing it. That's what our whole point of keeping this quiet is
Yeah.
all about.
Everyone
Yeah,
do a
that's
spot
fair.
hidden.
Are we across the street yet?
O2.
I pass.
67 is a pass.
41's a pass.
When you say across the street, explain. Are you going
Down the driveway and across the tarmac to the other side of the street.
We're getting the 30 feet of asphalt.
between you and the farm?
Yeah. Go out the gate where.
Okay. So you've gone out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
What now?
I want to see if that thing comes.
Oh, well, now it's 600 feet away. There's no way you can see
Oh.
where it is. You guys
Right.
turned around.
There's not a animated teenage corpse at the edge of the wheat lurching about. It's just gone.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
don't,
not.
you don't see anything out there.
Uh,
Well, you really can't. It's too far away now. You went all the way out.
All right, it's a long drive. And we left all the gasoline there, so we could
Well,
do
you
the
can buy
third
more
thing to buy gasoline and
my thought on this whole thing was to take these items back to the lab, have them run an analysis, and then we can return. I don't want this creature to get loose, but I think if it could have, it already would have done it.
I think it's a pretty good bet that the teenager and the dog were trespassing when whatever befell them.
Right. Let's just hope a bird doesn't die and land on the ground and it flies away.
Yeah, that
Um,
would be a problem, especially since it can get into trees.
Let me get your exact location. You're at the end of the driveway. You're out onto the street.
We pulled out through the broken gate and stopped across the street
Okay.
because we wanted the tarmac at least between us and the thing.
All right. I'd like you to all do spot hiddens, but you have to get an extreme.
Well, I rolled that O2, but you never told me anything for it on the
When was
last,
that?
like right before.
Now?
When we were, yeah.
All right.
No.
I see
Oh.
nothing.
Not an extreme, no.
Dr. Ethan, as you're standing there and you're looking past fruit trees that are on the edge of the front of the farm, and you're looking out at the field, you think you see something trying to walk across that 15-foot barrier to the forest.
Heather, turn. We have to fucking go back. We have to go back. It's trying to walk across the fire the burn zone.
But you said that was that had paraquat on it.
Yeah, but it's a body. It's a human body.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I didn't want to drive all the way down here. I wanted to
All
watch
right.
what it was gonna do.
All right.
We have to. We have
You
to.
got it.
If that thing gets loose in the national forest,
Right. Your last chance to hop out of the car before I hit the accelerator.
Does paraquat burn?
No, it kills things that are green, but it does take hours to work.
Right.
Right.
I know you can't just make a Molotov out of it.
No.
Oh, we got the bear. All right. All right. Press down on the gas and head back up in there.
Okay, so you're turning around and going back into the farm.
Yeah, my goal, just so you know, my goal is if I see that thing, I'm hitting it.
Okay. Well, without hitting the fence, the place where the path goes into the forest, there is a wide enough gap in the fence there that you could drive through.
Okay.
So you drive through onto the gravel barrier, and as you do that, you can see about 100 feet ahead of you this matted, blonde-haired boy, rotted, covered in red vines with little flowers all over him. He's crawling towards the forest, not very quickly, but he'll be there in another second, or he'll be able to reach out and touch something green.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hold on, everybody.
you guys can elect to do a luck roll. You have to elect who's going to do it first, and then make the luck roll.
Well, Heather's driving.
Yeah, I'll give it to all of you. Just
I have 60 luck. Who has the highest luck?
I'm higher than that.
64.
Higher than that.
40.
sounds like Jonathan gets the luck roll.
All right.
You've
70.
been rolling great all night.
All right. You've got to be 96. Damn.
Just as you are about to hit the boy, he reaches out and grabs a hold of a sapling on the edge of the forest, and then goes completely limp, just as your car hits him and sort of splatters body pieces ahead of you because he's rotted.
Yeah.
Do a Constitution roll on that one. Rolled
And
over.
it's a rental.
And it's a rental.
01.
Pass.
10.
Pass.
93.
Oh, you threw up on me.
My 10 die is going to get thrown out the window here.
Yeah, if you didn't pass, you get nauseous.
I passed.
Just
I want
out
to
of
jump. Oh, sorry. I want to jump out of the car and start screaming, "Come and get me!" To just try and I don't want this thing loose in the world.
Dr. Ethan, do a spot hidden for me.
Oh, 36. I got it.
Okay. Dr. Ethan, as you jump out of the car and start screaming, you definitely see plants rippling into the forest.
I'll just start running.
You don't see where it went.
All right.
Could be anywhere at this point. And that's where we're going to leave it.
On a meaningful failure.
Let's leave the farm. It won't leave.
Our players included David Gassaway, Morgan Llewellyn, Brian Daly, Keith Craig, and Jason Melnichuk, with myself as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 5 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. We have a new patron, Trav, who is contributing $3 a month. Thank you very much, Trav. If you'd like to support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good game.